Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And I got one for you straight out of St. Louis. This is a story, again, about alleged stealing from a nonprofit and a charity. And it makes you wonder, is this a case of arrogance, callousness, greed, hubris for some of these people that are allegedly stealing from the companies that they work for and or have started? Well, this particular charity, this young lady worked for the charity, and I think sometimes people forget there are all, depending on how big the charity is, there's generally an internal and or an external audit that is done every year, especially when you're getting state and federal funding. So if you've gone through a few years of having your hand in the cookie jar and not getting caught, eventually you're going to get caught, and what's in the darkness will come to light. So let's get into this one. And this is an unfortunate story here based on what this alleged person perpetrated against a charity that dealt with adults who had intellectual and developmental disabilities. So, of course, they definitely needed the money. Former official accused of stealing nearly $700,000 from St. Louis County charity. A former official of a charity that houses adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities has been indicted and accused of embezzling about $690,000 over more than a decade. Joelle Foss, 57, was indicted on October 9th with 3 felony counts of wire fraud. She surrendered and will appear in U.S. District Court in St. Louis to plead not guilty. The indictment says that Foss was the manager, director of finance and human resources for the charity from October 12th, 2012 through December 2023. That's over 11 years. And look at her title. She was the managing director of finance and human resources. So she was the person cutting the checks. When she was terminated, Foss was responsible for payroll, expense reimbursement, and maintaining the charity's books and records. So there's a kind of double entendre there. She was hired there to take care of the books, and she is the one allegedly stealing from the cookie jar. She stole from the charity in 3 different ways. The indictment says Foss provided false information to a third-party payroll processing company that caused the company to make 71 unauthorized payments totaling $139,810 to multiple bank accounts controlled by Foss, the indictment says. The indictment also accuses Foss of triggering 181 unauthorized expense payments into bank accounts she controlled, totaling $407,186. So a lot of times these individuals that are doing this kind of thievery, they create these shell companies, a third-party vendor, which is supposed to be independent and has no relationship with the nonprofit. And then you come to find out that the person is cutting the checks to the third-party vendor. That person actually owns the shell company, third-party vendor company. Finally, Foss allegedly used her company credit card to make 184 unauthorized purchases totaling $133,210. The charity also overpaid the employer portion of payroll taxes by about $10,694 due to the inflated payroll, the indictment says. The indictment says Foss took cash out of ATMs and used the charity's funds for travel, clothing, entertainment, restaurant meals, rent payments, and day-to-day expenses for herself and relatives. She tried to cover up her crimes by making false entries in financial and accounting records. It says the charity contacted the FBI and they have cooperated in their investigation. Charges set forth in an indictment are merely accusations and do not constitute proof of guilt. Every defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. Each wire fraud charge carries a penalty of up to 20 years in prison, a $250,000 fine, or both prison and a fine. The FBI investigated the case. Assistant U.S. Attorney Hal Goldsmith is prosecuting the case. That's a lot there for allegedly the young lady who was in charge. She was the managing director of finance and human resources for this charity that housed adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So we all know that those donations that are being made by private citizens, state and federal funding, these individuals needed every dime, if not more money, for all the ancillary services, the social services, to help these intellectually and developmentally disabled adults, to help them manage their lives in the most normal and comfortable way. And this young lady, 57 years old, allegedly, and of course she knew better. You have to know better to do better. And she's in a high position where she was in control. She had the power of the pen to control payroll, expenditures, where money was coming in and where it was going out. And when it was coming in, it was going out into her pockets, allegedly. This is a very unfortunate situation. And as I said in the beginning of the video, it makes you wonder, is this just greed? Is this just callousness, hubris? Is there a mental illness component to it? We do live in a world where everything that's marketed and promoted in America, most people live their lives based on consumption and being a slave to things by any means necessary. This whole tag term of getting the bag by any means necessary, whether it's giving up your moral and ethical mantle of being a good person. Here again, this person was 57 years old, so she knew better to do better. And people have to remember, listen, I keep telling you, the feds are coming after these entertainers. They're coming after these shell companies after the pandemic. And of course, they are always looking at nonprofits and charities, especially when they're getting state and federal funding. You're not going to get away with it. And this went on over a 10-year period. The other caveat about this is stealing is like gambling. It's like a drug addiction. It's an addiction. If it feels too good to be true, it probably is. And once you start, and it was that easy, and it becomes easy to do, it's almost impossible for the average human being to stop committing that crime until they get caught. It happens all the time. This is why I'm doing this video. We need these nonprofits and these charities to help people, homeless individuals, people with developmental, physical, intellectual disabilities, impoverished children. These nonprofits play a big part in the sustainability of our society. This is unfortunate for this young lady, and tell me what you think about this particular storyline straight out of St. Louis. This has been a Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth.